Here we go.
You love that tune, huh?
But I tell you, the Bungie the bad tune. Bungie it just make it sound different.
Anyway, we're joined by the Right Honourable Fitz. What's the full name? I hear it on the platform. Fitz.
Dwight
Fitzgerald Bramble.
Yeah, them is two presidential names. You know, watch yourself.
Everything is Fitz.
Dwight
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald.
Okay.
I was named
Bramble.
after two U.S. presidents.
Right.
Yeah, it's okay. All right.
Dwight Eisenhower and John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Yeah.
So he's just been renominated for the East Kingstown seats by his party.
Renominated, is it?
Well, you just got selected at the weekend, right?
No, man. I don't selected long time.
I thought those were like selection meetings.
No, that was our office opening. The opening of the office in Sion Hill.
Right.
I have a regular office in Beachmont.
Right.
I don't know election time yet.
I have a problem with that meeting on Saturday. I have a serious problem.
What was the
Hey, you
problem?
block up the main road.
No, we ain't block up the
You
main
need
road.
to stop that. The main road. If I have an emergency, need to get. I can't pass through there.
I was a little disappointed. I didn't see any traffic police there, but I ain't gonna hit the police. Cause the police and them do a good job, given the circumstances and the you know.
So that's okay. They normally you had to go. You apply for.
Yeah, we had police presence there, but
Right.
the traffic part of it was.
Okay.
But again, like I say, I ain't knocking them.
You don't feel a way to blocking up the main road?
We didn't block up the road. We got permission to have an event on top sign in front of the supermarket.
Okay.
You know what I was expecting is someone to demand a poll.
Demand a poll.
Sorry, a toll.
But you notice the Prime Minister come and talk, but toll after that, and not a soul say nothing.
Need the money.
Hey, boy, this place is something else.
What about the Dolphins? He hasn't taken the Dolphin idea yet.
Nah, the Dolphin idea don't get through, man.
Yeah.
I'm one person. I listen and I make corrections. Of course,
People say we love the Dolphins.
No. The Dolphin idea was not the best of
ideas
for the Sion Hill Beach development. But the Sion Hill Beach development coming, and is a huge project, man.
Okay.
What does it entail?
Well, first of all, the engineers have a couple of engineering bodies from.
This is a serious thing. It's
serious. This is not a joke thing.
All right.
A couple of engineering bodies from Mala Village. They're living in the States now, and they started doing the sort of specs and possibilities. Of course, once you get there, you have to do your costings and all of that.
So what do you envision?
But the general idea, what I envision is, there's a little rock off Sion Hill Beach called Nancy Rock.
Yeah.
The plan is to put a city fence there and make it like a little natural pool. Not a little, a big one, because that's a good distance, about a quarter mile out. Because the waves break in there and stuff, And then within that area,
that's the rock that used to come over as you
right on the airport, and then they have to blast it off and so. And then within that little that big enclosed area now, that's where the water park going. Your water slides and all of that, like where we see in St. Lucia and Antigua and places. And then the idea, I didn't think about this part of it initially, but my brethren in the States, they said they think it would be a good idea to put a boardwalk as well from Sion Hill Beach right around to the tarmac. Yeah. People could go and ride the bike, you could walk and all that. Okay. And then you're going to have your shops, your craft shops, your restaurants.
City.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the city, but a nice tourist attraction.
And then, hey, let me just call it. Come right here. Yeah, go ahead. I listen there.
And then you're gonna put a bypass road going through Cane Garden.
Right.
Because if you really check it out, it's only one way in and one way out of Sion Hill Beach. And also the same thing with Cane Garden, one way in and one way out of Cane Garden. When you turn in Cane Garden, by way Fly live there. There's no other way out by vehicle, You realize that? That's true, And I know a couple of persons talked in Cane Garden community talked about maybe the possibility of increased activity. But of course, I think they would also welcome the opportunity to have an alternative route. Right. And for the people, the residents of Cane Garden, there's a direct access to the beach as well, rather than having to come around and drive all the way around or walk all the way around.
Right.
And that obviously is going to create tremendous economic opportunities. In fact, that is the concept extends to putting in like walking paths coming along by Rose and Walver, where you could put in walking paths with flowers and all that sort of stuff. The fine details, as I said, would have to be worked out, but that is a general concept to create a kind of more ambience in the community, surrounding communities, and at the same time create a vibrant economic opportunity, tourism and so on and so on. Because check it out, you know. Cyan Hill is the closest beach to Kingston, real beach. If a tourist boat coming right now is Indian Bay, they ought to go the closest.
Yeah.
You know, I could envision a boat coming in, a tourist boat coming in here. 500-600 tourists going down Cyan Hill Beach, enjoying the water park, spending money. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not.
Moving on, but related.
Mm-hmm.
We have a topic we wanted to discuss this morning. Maybe your input would be good in it.
Mm-hmm.
Which of the parties demands or not demands, commands the youth vote?
Well, how do I answer that question? How do you command? What, first of all, how do you define the youth vote?
Under 35.
Right? Under 35, right? And then I think you also have to assess what percentage of the voting population falls within that age group.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know off the top of my head, but I suspect it's a sizable percentage. You know, even though we have a voters list of nearly 100,000 people. That's another story for just now.
For just now.
I think the youth vote is critical, and I think the New Democratic Party has an excellent opportunity to command the youth vote. And here's why I say that. Because if you look at where our country is right now, economically, youth unemployment is the highest it has ever been in this country's history. We're talking about 40%. In East Kingston alone, I did a rough survey. I mean, as an economist, I have an understanding of how the techniques of doing surveys and so. In East Kingston alone, the youth unemployment rate is close to 6%, 60%. 6 out of 10 young people in East Kingston are work. You know,
have no work or no full-time work.
Well, if I include full-time work, the percentage will be higher.
Really?
I'm telling you. You know, I plan to. Hold on. If I have the time, sorry, I didn't mean to say hold on, but if I have the time to do a more detailed assessment, you know. So I'm saying that to say, if I'm a young person, I've been out of school for 5 years, nothing to do. Okay, I got a scholarship. I went to university. I have a master's degree in business administration, and I'm teaching at a primary school. That to me doesn't sound like the kind of future that I want. And the current administration, the current government, the ULP, that is the situation that they have contributed to that situation, or they have neglected, or they are incapable of making that situation any better. Now, the New Democratic Party is saying to the young people, this is what we have for you. We're talking about the new youth economy. Hey, Kish, Dr. Shallow talk about it all the time, where you're creating alternatives for young people, given the trajectory where our country is going right now, where the world is going. You know, so we're talking about creating opportunities in robotics, in data science. I mean, in the creative arts. You know, we have some outstanding young performers here, musicians, artists, dramatists, that if they were living in other countries, man, I'm telling you, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And we are directly addressing those issues and creating those opportunities for young people head on.
What are those young people doing right now?
What do you mean? What are they doing?
How are they surviving? If they...
Well, I suspect a lot of them still, you know, depending on their mothers or their grandmothers for assistance. A lot of them come on the block, and I mean, you know, I don't like to talk about it, but it's the reality. So time as you get on the block, Bramble give me a 5, Bramble give me a 10, and I know these. You hire 1 or 2 bad squatters in between. But these guys genuinely, fellas coming and asking people, not just fellas, for something just to eat, man. This is not no mail. I live it. I walk the streets every day. We are there. And some people are going to say, well, you know, some of these guys don't want any jobs. There's a little bit of truth to that. But when you look at their skill set and their capabilities relative to what they're needed and needed for, Camelo himself just said so the other day, that the skill, the jobs that you require these young people to do, they don't have the skills. So if I was here, I would be ashamed to go and say something like that.
Why haven't they? If we you know, we talk about it all the time. If you spent 10 years building an airport with the expressed goal of attracting hotels and tourism, Why do we, now that the airport is finished, why do we seem to be so unprepared? Be it construction, be it hotel management, be it almost any field regarding tourism. Why is Camilo having to come out and say we need to prepare people for the future economy?
Until they started bringing in persons to trade for some training, I think.
Yeah.
At the airport.
Well, I think the obvious answer is a lack of vision and a lack of planning. Look, these guys created a national social and economic development plan in 2013 that was supposed to go from 2013 to 2025. And that was supposed to be their guiding post for developing this country. Right. And in that national development plan, too cool, them fellas tell you, oh, we go reduce unemployment, we go this with poverty, we go make the place safer. Every single thing that they said they're going to do, they made it worse. So if you create your own plan, a document that was tabled in the House of Parliament, and you can't even follow your own plan, it tells you that you don't have any vision. It tells you that you don't have a proper understanding of how to effectively plan and implement the plan. And this might sound like, it might sound a little bit on the academic side, some people may say, but it's the reality, man. If you're there and you can't deliver, it's like every Monday morning, Saboto, for example, every Monday morning he jump up, he has some new initiative for agriculture. It's like, I don't know, it's just so arbitrary.
So was the goal when they were building the airport, was the goal to build the airport as opposed to what would come of it?
Well, I think they hoped, and I can't speak for them, so I could only speculate. I can't think for them. I don't think like that.
But you may well be in their position in the next couple of months.
And I'm coming to that. So I think that when they built the airport, it was the politically correct thing to say. It looked good. Yeah, we're building the biggest capital project in St. Vincent's history. All our neighbors have an international airport, so we're wrong with we. But I don't think they methodically and carefully planned how the airport is going to contribute to economic development. They just assume that you build the airport, more planes go come, more people go come. But you can't make that assumption. You have to have a plan. Just like the port down here now. When we debated the bill, right, to get the money for the port, I asked them, I spent more than half of my 45 minutes in my contribution to the debate on that bill, trying to ascertain from the Minister of Finance, how is this port going to help the ordinary person? How is it going to help the single mother? How is it going to help,
what was the answer?
Well, there was no answer. And then sometime after he went on a platform and said, oh, they didn't want the port. They only pretended they supported it. Imagine they coming and asking how the port going to help a single pregnant mother and this and all these kinds of nonsense, But as an economist, you must be you have to be data driven. You have to be guided. You can't just spend $600 million on a port. And a port is a productive project. Yeah, meaning it's something that you could make money from. You don't expect to make money from a hospital or a school. Those are social projects, right? So when you spend so much money on a port, you must have some projections as to how the port is going to create revenue for the country.
But this is why I asked you, was the goal, just like with the airport, was the actual goal the constructing of a port and an airport?
Well, like I said, I can't.
Was that the goal in itself?
Let me answer you.
Not necessarily what comes after.
Right.
But the goal was we want to build the two single biggest capital projects Vincent's ever had.
That's right. And like I said, I can't speak for them, but just like you.
So in some ways, the more expensive it was, the better.
To some extent, but that is just a further manifestation of their view that development is just big shiny projects, big shiny objects. How does that resonate to improving the lives of every single Vincentian? How it put more money in your pocket? How does it contribute to a safer community? How does that contribute to us feeling more proud as Vincentians and wanting to, for example, volunteer to keep our neighborhoods clean, as opposed to saying, man, me not no time with that's a government job, And these guys, it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected.
In the presentation for the port, because again, we spoke about this a few days ago. We haven't really heard much about the operations of the port. Are there going to be different operations? Is getting your goods going to be easier?
They have not said anything.
Are the
about
processes changing in any way?
Well, yesterday in Parliament there was a bill.
Is it going to be cheaper?
The Port Authority bill, where that bill essentially just talking about the functions of the Port Authority Senator Ben Brown, who's the Minister of Urban Development, talked about, it's going to make the management of the port more efficient, yada, yada, yada. First of all, she didn't even know. Anyway, let me don't go down that with it here. But those are the questions that must be asked. For example, she said something about the old Kingston port didn't have the capability to accommodate big ships and containers and all of that. So the question is, if you now spend $600+ million, right, for a facility that's going to accommodate bigger ships, bigger containers, how does that contribute to the economic development of our country? Are these ships going to be coming in full of imported stuff and leaving empty? What are we going to do to boost our production in St. Vincent and the Grenadines so that we can have goods to put on these same big containers to leave when they don't come and bring in all the imported stuff?
And is it going to lower? Are freight rates going to be lowered because of it, or like?
Well, those are the questions. Those are the issues that they have not addressed. You know what I mean? And again, it comes back to the fact that they have no clue. They have absolute. And let me tell you something. There are public servants who can easily do those kinds of analyses and make those projections. But these guys don't want to do that because it comes back to your conclusion again, Luke, that their objective is just to present a big shiny object and go and brag about it and say this is the biggest thing we ever produced. James Mitchell and the NDP never produced anything so big, so vote back for we. And in the meantime, you can't tell us, because this is money we had to pay back, This is borrowed money. This is a hook in our gill that, as well as the Prime Minister said, when we debated the bill to get the money for the same port and the hospital, he said this is a hook in the gill of Vincentians. So we're trying to tell me you're just borrowing money.
Why did he phrase it? Why do you think he phrased it like that?
You gotta ask. I really don't know. My take on it is that he just doesn't care. He just doesn't care, and he doesn't understand the impact and the economic implications of borrowing money and not knowing and understanding how you're going to repay the money that you borrow. He just doesn't know. He brags about having
it's probably not in his lifetime that we repay.
Exactly. When he dead and gone, it's our children and grandchildren have to pay. And
what would be
it's really sad.
What would be, we keep hearing this thing about these foreign operatives. It seems to be the PM's bugbear these days.
Yeah.
First off, are you in bed with the Chinese?
That when you say in bed, I don't understand what you mean.
Are you in bed when you wake up in the morning? Is there a Chinese person in your bed?
No. The New Democratic Party.
When you go into your kitchen for your cornflakes, is there a Chinese person sitting at your kitchen table?
But the Prime Minister is so disingenuous. But at the same time, he thinks he's so crafty and so clever to try to change the narrative.
Are you planning to sell Vincentians out to the Chinese?
Man, I wouldn't. That question doesn't even deserve a response. Luke, you know better than that.
All right. Final question. Can you tell the difference between a Chinese man
and a Taiwanese man?
I know.
Well, can you tell the difference between a Taiwanese man and a Vietnamese man? It's an ethnic group of, we call them Asians.
Do you get pissed off when you hear all that stuff?
But let me tell you something, and I am comforted that Vincentians are waking up. A lot of Vincentians have woken up to these. This is the same old playbook from Ralph, Right. The same old playbook. But he ain't come and tell you that they have strategists from foreign operatives, even though they may not be Chinese, I don't know. But they have strategists from foreign operatives outside of St. Vincent who's strategizing and planning and leading their campaign, the buzzmaker people. Right. As Rohan Bullock did a social media post on it. Look, the fact of the matter is, as a political party.
And actually, it's alleged that the guy that heads it used to work for SCL.
Exactly. But the fact of the matter is, anywhere in the world you go, as a political party, and to some extent, a political party is similar to a business. you have to market yourself as best as you could. Right. If you hire a marketer or marketing,
bring in expertise where required.
You bring in expertise where it's required. So that's nothing new. What he needs to do is tell the people of this country if his foreign operative, with whom he's in bed, if they are interfering with the democratic process in St. Vincent. Because in my view, and I have a lot of respect for the Prime Minister, but in my view, what he said at the UN the other day about private foreign operatives coming in St. Vincent and messing with our democratic, I thought that was so embarrassing. I thought that was real. Come out and say who? I mean, he really was grabbing at straws there, and I don't think he did himself. I mean, he has a reputation as a good speaker and all of that. You say what you want about him, you give him that. But I think on this occasion, it was really embarrassing for me as a Vincentian.
Let himself down a bit.
Yeah, man. He really, not just a bit. He let down himself big time there, you know. But
I get the feeling this rounds that the NDP feel more confident.
Well, we do and we should be, because the pulse on the ground. I mean, when you interact with people, you could feel the wind of change blowing. And in addition, and the reason why that is happening is because, I mean, St. Vincent has been stretched to the extreme, my brother, to the extreme within the 5 years that I've been there.
Yeah, but we're resilient.
Yeah, you know what resilience means?
Yeah.
Resilience means to bounce back from a very extenuating, a really bad situation.
Right, we bounce back.
This election we bouncing back from where Ralph and them bring we to.
All right.
By putting a new Democratic Party in
You got 1 minute left, Fitz.
So you bring me in here for 10, 15 minutes?
Unless you want to stay with us.
Well, what the time now?
We're going to run some ads, and when you come back,
I could stay until 9 o'clock.
No problem.
Right.
When we come back, we're going to hear more from Fitz.
Cool. I'm this resilient guy. I'm this resilient guy.